Let's move into main topic number 4, shall we? And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Marcus. And Marcus writes, "Hi, John. Hi, Marcus. Thanks for being here. Lizzy Olsen," that's Elizabeth Olsen, recently came out and said that there is a cameo that is as shocking as the Luke Skywalker appearance in Mandalorian Season 2. Paul Bettany has also spoke out and said there is a secret actor that he has always wanted to work with that shows up in the show as well, and that it has been kept tightly under wraps. I'd love to know your thoughts on all this and who it could be. Thanks. All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, WandaVision has been heating up. I really enjoyed episodes 1 through 3, but it just took a big leap forward for me in episode 4, and it got a lot of people talking, and we're looking forward to seeing what's going to go on and what's going to be happening here. Now, what's going on is when you hear people saying Elizabeth Olsen says a Luke, she did and she didn't, okay? Context to this is very, very important. Let's actually take a look to see what Elizabeth Olsen actually said. So Elizabeth Olsen was being interviewed by TV Line, I believe, okay? And this is what happened. This is from TV Line. Olsen hints to TV Line another MCU veteran could be making a visit to Westview, one that fans have not already heard about. That's important. I think fans had not even heard about yet. So that's key. Back in December, fellow Disney Plus series plus show The Mandalorian stunned viewers with Mark Hamill's appearance as Luke Skywalker, which had shockingly remained a secret until the season 2 finale aired. When asked if WandaVision has anything similar in store, namely a casting that she can't believe hasn't leaked yet, Olsen gave us a quick yes. And though she dared not offer any specifics, she did share with a laugh that I'm really excited for viewers to see what or who is coming. That comes to us from TV Line. All right, so here's an important part, Rob, that I think everybody needs to keep in mind here for a second. And this isn't just a little nitpick. This is actually a really important thing that I think we got to keep in mind. If you read certain headlines today, and it's probably not even on purpose, but it can come across as if Elizabeth Olsen sat down on a microphone and said, "Hey, everybody, we've got a cameo coming that is like on the same level as Luke Skywalker showing up in Mandalorian." What it was that the interviewer asked her the question, kind of framed the question and said, "Hey, Mandalorian just had this big reveal with Luke Skywalker. Does WandaVision got something like that lined up?" To which he said, "Yeah, and I can't wait for the audience to see." So you got to temper that a little bit with the fact that it was the interviewer who framed the question that way. So you got to keep that in mind too. But it still brings up the thing, Rob, that we are apparently going to be getting a very big cameo that everybody's excited about. But what is really key in that is that something people aren't talking about yet. A big cameo, kind of Luke Skywalker level, that nobody's talking about yet. That kind of limits the field, right? That kind of limits the field a little bit. So what I thought we would do here is we would jump into the Campea classroom here, and let's go down some options here. Let's go down some options about who could this Luke Skywalker level, audience hasn't heard about it yet, kind of thing. Who's it going to be? What's it going to be? All right, let's start with this one. Tony Stark. Hey, listen, Tony Stark would be in the MCU. Tony Stark showing up in some way, shape, or form would be, you could count that as Luke Skywalker kind of level surprise cameo. You could throw that in there. And look, we know, I don't care what anybody says, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be back. I've said it before, Rob, I'll say it again. It may not be this year, might not be in 2 years, might not even be in 3. Robert Downey Jr. will be back. I said that about Chris Evans, and lo and behold, he's coming back. So I think Tony Stark could fit into that. She had a close relationship, but also a tumultuous one because he kind of grounded her in Civil War, fought on the other side. There could be some interesting thing there. Maybe it's Tony Stark. Here's one out of left field, Rob. Here's one out of left field. Because not only, look at this one part here, at the very last line, Elizabeth Olsen says, I'm really excited for viewers to see what or who is coming. Might not even be a human being, Rob. Thanos. Hey, listen, before you think Thanos is really way too crazy of an idea, keep this in mind. That part of the thing that we've been seeing in WandaVision is her kind of revisiting the trauma and tragedy in her life. Who is a bigger representation of that, other than maybe Ultron, who she watched killed her brother, than Thanos, who she witnessed ripping half the head of her love out and killing her love and blipping her, snapping her out of existence for 5 years. That's a pretty big one. Thanos showing up would be a pretty major thing. Necessarily Luke Skywalker showing up level, debatable, but it's close. So Thanos could be one of those things. All right. I'm going to throw another one at you, Rob, way out of left field. Way out of left field. But I want you to hear me out on this. Deadpool. Now, as crazy as that sounds, we know Ryan Reynolds is doing more stuff with them. He's doing more stuff with Disney, blah, blah. There is some wacky fourth wall breaking stuff going on within WandaVision with the broadcast and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying stylistically, Deadpool showing up as a fourth wall breaking sort of character is not completely outside. And listen, we've seen the MCU do completely wacky things. We've seen the MCU do completely wacky things. And I think that would get a lot of people buzzing. So maybe Deadpool. I'm not saying that's going to be it, but I just want to throw that as a crazy theory. Okay, let's move on to this one here. Spider-Man. Okay, but here's the catch. Toby or Andrew. Hey, listen. We don't even know that Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield officially, we have not yet, Rob, I mean, we all assume it, but let's be clear, we have not officially been given any word that Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire are in the next Spider-Man film. I believe they are at this point. I think a lot of us believe they are. I don't think they're going to have big roles, but we do know that WandaVision, Spider-Man 3, and Doctor Strange 2 are kind of like one story that they're setting up, right? So having a Spider-Man cameo makes sense, but would Tom Holland popping up in this really be that huge of a shock? Probably not. I think it got people very excited. Tom Holland popping in, I think people would be excited. Yeah, be excited. But would it have the holy shit reaction around the world like Luke Skywalker showing up like it would if it was Tobey Maguire or if it was Andrew Garfield? Again, I ain't saying that it is. I'm just saying if we're trying to think about what is something they could be talking about that we haven't heard about yet that would make the internet explode like the Luke Skywalker thing, I'm just saying Toby or Andrew popping up, and I'm not saying I think this was going to happen, but I think that's got to be considered as a possibility. Here's one that people talk about. Doctor Strange. I don't think it will be this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't think it's going to be Doctor Strange at all. I don't think he's going to show up in this. But number two, it's kind of like Tom Holland showing up. Is that really, is Benedict Cumberbatch showing up really a Luke Skywalker sort of holy shit moment? Like Tony Stark showing up would be, like Thanos showing up would be, like Deadpool showing up would be, like Andrew Garfield showing up would be. I don't think it does. I don't think it has that. I don't think it fits that qualification. So I don't think it's the Doctor Strange one. So I'm going to take Doctor Strange off the list. All right. I'm going to take Doctor Strange off the list. The real number 5 here, I'm going to have 2 as tied. Okay. And I've argued against this before, but I'm just going to throw it out here. Magneto and Professor X. Now, I've argued on this show, Rob, that Kevin Feige has told us for years. 3 years ago, he told us no X-Men stuff for 5 years. I got my 5-year plan right now. We're going to finish my 5-year plan, and then I will get to X-Men. And I still believe him. I still believe him. Rob, every time we've had a new a new MCU movie coming out for the last 3 years. Everybody's going to be, everyone has been. This is the one where X-Men show up. This is the one where X-Men show up. End of Endgame, they're totally going to bring in X-Men. Everybody said every single movie and every single time Kevin Feige has proven true to his word. He said, nope, 5 years. That's still 2 years away. That's still 2 years away. But even if you're somebody like me, Rob, who has been saying over and over and over again, look, and been proven right, every single new MCU movie that's come out, Kevin Feige said not for 5 years, Kevin Feige said not for 5 years. Even I, Rob, have to go, well, wait a second. What would cause that holy shit kind of reaction around the world, as particularly within the world of MCU fandom and comic book movie fandom and all that kind of stuff? What could actually shake us so much that it would be on the level of a Luke Skywalker popping up in Mandalorian? Could it be her real father? And again, I don't even think they're going to make Magneto Wanda's father in the MCU. I think they've already moved away from that. But if you want to create that holy shit moment, Magneto showing up, say, I am your father, child. Huh? Or Rob, or everything's going batshit crazy at the end. It's the final episode of WandaVision. They don't know what to do anymore. She just lost Vision again. She just lost her kids. This threatening to rip the world apart. Everything's going crazy. Who better than to come in, and in comes this wheelchair, and as Professor Charles Xavier says, I think I might be able to help. I think I might be able to help. Right? And all that. And then he comes in. And now, again, I am not saying that is what is going to happen. I still personally believe Kevin Feige is staying true to we're waiting 5 years before bringing in X-Men stuff. That's what I still think. But if we're saying that there's something so big coming that nobody's talking about, that could be like that Luke Skywalker level, oh my God, what just happened? You can't deny, I can't deny that I'm your father, child, or I believe I can be of some help. A Magneto, Eric, or Charles showing up, come on. That would, I'm not going to say it would be on the same level of Luke showing up in Mandalorian, Rob, but it would be comparable. People would go nuts and lose their mind, and it would be massive. So, Rob, just revisiting again, the options, the 5 options I've got up here right now. I got Tony Stark, Thanos, Deadpool, Spider-Man, Toby or Andrew, and Magneto or Professor X. So, Rob, I've set it all up. I've gone through my 5. What do you think about those 5? Who would you add to that list? Who do you think, John, right now we can just take those off the list? Where are you at on all this?
It's Magneto.
You think so?
100%.
Now you sound like my wife. 100%.
No, it's 100%, and I'll tell you why. Because he's not the only. It's already been reported that there's another person from, without giving any spoilers away, there is another character from the Fox X franchise making an appearance in some way, at least the actor. It's absolutely Magneto.
You're saying that with a lot of certainty. And you think that, do you agree that would be on the level of like a Luke Skywalker showing up?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. We already are seeing that we know that Wanda Maximoff and Pietro Maximoff are Magneto's children. Now, they have retconned it. You know, it's gone back and forth. But the thing is, you're talking about reality being warped anyway. I mean, she's creating a sitcom from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Reality is already warped. And the idea if she's dealing with trauma, one of the things that's going on in her life that we haven't explored is the lack of her own family. The whole thing is familial. It's I want to live in a world. I want to have a husband. I want children. She's never had normalcy in her life ever. And I think whether it's a Wanda-induced fever dream or not, or it is truly a rip in reality, if she conjures up a father figure who happens to be Magneto or whatever, in her mind, why not have someone that's Ian McKellen-esque show up? And, again, without ruining anything, in episode 6, we know somebody else is showing up as well. Somebody that would round out the fact that, hey, I want to see our father. Who is that? It's 100% Ian McKellen. Now, I have to say, I don't know, John. I have no idea who this person could be. But based on what this show is and what it's actually about, Professor X wouldn't matter because, she wasn't really, I mean, she's a mutant, but she wasn't really an X-Man. But Wanda and Pietro were Magneto's kids in one reality, I think for 100%. But that doesn't mean, I'm not saying that I'm right. And if Professor X showed up, but to me, what makes the most sense in the context of what's happening and in the wider MCU in terms of the comic universe, in terms of the history of the character, it has to be Magneto, especially in light of who else shows up.
Okay, so here's the problem. The elephant in the room, of course, is that Kevin Feige has said that there aren't going to be any X-Men and stuff like that until he's done his 5-year plan.
But we already know that that's not true.
Well, not necessarily. Not because the thing you're talking about, just because an actor is in there, that's not necessarily meaning anything. I mean,
no, he could be playing a grown-up version of
different
one of the twins.
It's just that, exactly, because we know that Wiccan and Speed are going to be there, and we know that they grow very fast. So I mean, it's just saying, I just too many times, and I have been guilty of this too. Too many people see a little glimpse from a preview and they build an entire theory around something, and it often turns out to be something else. So I don't want to get too pumped into that. But again, it does mean, and I can't deny the potential of it. That's why I put it on my list. But it would mean that Kevin Feige is now breaking that 5-year thing. And it's going to be interesting.
Remember, it doesn't have to be real. It's true. It's an image of, if Wanda is in touch with other realities, and there is a multiverse of madness. Now, we've already seen J. Jonah Jameson appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we know that there is a rupture in the Marvel Cinematic Universe reality already. It's already happened. Whatever the fallout from WandaVision is, it's already been established as occurring in the MCU at the end of Far From Home, which is the last MCU thing we've seen, which makes sense why WandaVision becomes the next thing, because it's a shorthand to explain how did J. Jonah Jameson show up in Spider-Man Far From Home. So it makes sense to me that, judging by what this show's all about, that we will see the idea of family and the idea of stability, dealing with PTSD, all of this plays into that. And whether it really is real or a manifestation of another reality that she senses or pulls something in from, I think it would make sense. And then they can always say that, well, that was from another reality that wasn't real. Oh, but it was still, we know as a viewer that it was.
Or do we even know? Let me throw in one more, Rob. Let me throw in one more. All right. Tell me what you think about this. This one borderlines on the preposterous, but apparently preposterous is not out of bounds. Let me throw this one more in here. Okay. That's not the one. Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. Not Chris Evans as Captain America. Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. Now, again, I don't think this is what they're going to do, but if we're looking for things that would fit within that definition of, it would create a boom, holy crap event likened unto Luke Skywalker showing up in Mandalorian. Tell me this wouldn't get a lot of buzz. I mean, this would get a lot of people talking, would it not, if they were to do something that crazy?
Well, I think you have to go back to look at what the show is. It always comes back to me about, like, you could bring another superhero in and that would be cool. But the woman who wrote Jax, she's clearly quite intelligent, and she's writing a show about family. And I think, look, if she's already researching cosmic radiation, I'll bet she said, hey, what if, if you go back and you look into like, I watched a video the other day when Elizabeth Olsen was doing a photo shoot for some fashion magazine back in 2016, I think. And she was going through the whole history of Scarlet Witch and taking these comics and throwing them out. She go, in this comic, this happened. And she went through the entire history of Scarlet Witch. And I thought that was pretty interesting. She knew, I mean, whether she was scripted or not, they still had her saying this, and she was clearly enjoying herself. So I don't think when you're doing a show about family that this conversation wouldn't arise. If there's different realities and they've already shown us, remember, it's been what, almost, was it a year and a half ago that Spider-Man Far From Home came out? It makes sense to me. I think it's, of all these cameos, it actually makes sense for the context of the show.
All right, so I'm just going to run you guys through one more quick time. So here are the ones that I think are possibilities. And remember, we are limited here because there are a lot of different, very valid other cameos we could talk about that could be possibilities. But would those necessarily qualify as Luke Skywalker showing up on Mandalorian level things? And I think that eliminates a lot. So the ones I'm throwing out there right now are this. Tony Stark, which, by the way, I think Tony Stark is the most likely. I'm not saying it's going to, but I think it's the most likely. Thanos is a possibility. I really, as crazy as it sounds, I think Deadpool's a possibility. I think Toby or Andrew showing up as Spider, as a Peter Parker, a different universe's version of Peter Parker, would achieve that holy crap level stuff like Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian does. And even though I don't think it's going to happen, I can't deny that either Magneto or Professor X rolling up in there, no pun intended, either Magneto or Professor X rolling up in there would cause that, oh my God, holy crap moment, likened unto a Luke Skywalker showing up in Mandalorian moment. So are there any, Rob, let's move outside of the ones that we've already mentioned here. Just quick thought. Is there anybody else you could think of that might fit within those parameters? Like it would have to be huge. It would have to be something that would get everybody talking, Luke Skywalker level. Is there any other theories that we haven't covered here that maybe could be a possibility?
Well, I've got one.
Oh, please, yes.
I've got one that could be interesting, especially the ramifications of what could happen. Old Steve Rogers.
Old man Steve Rogers?
Old man Steve Rogers comes in, voice of reason, talks her down, and what does she do? She turns him back into the Captain America she knows.
Well, that's a possibility too.
I mean, that's a canonical reality warping thing that she could do, and ba-bam.
Ba-bam!
Once again, Captain America is back in the MCU exactly the way we want him to be, and it's not a cheat. It's something that can happen, and I mean, it makes sense. And you could even make it. Imagine how emotionally poignant it might be if old Steve Rogers comes in to talk her down like a father figure. Yeah. To me, it's the closest thing to, if it's not Ian McKellen, an old Steve Rogers coming in and talking her down, showing her that familial, because what is the new family she has if not the Avengers? And comes down and says, look what happened in Infinity War. Or was it Infinity War Endgame when Captain America came to the rescue of Vision and Wanda?
Yeah, or go back to Civil War. Near the beginning of the film, after Wanda causes that big catastrophe, it's Captain America that comes into a room, sits down. It's like, it's the job. We can't save everyone, but we got to save those that we can. Has that big heart to heart. Besides Hawkeye, she's probably the closest one. I want to touch on this quick. A bunch of people in the live chat are throwing in a lot of possibilities. Some people saying it's Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel very well could pop up, but is that a Luke Skywalker, somebody who's already currently in the MCU? Is that a Luke Skywalker level kind of thing? I don't think so. Some people saying Ultron. Hey, Vision could turn into Ultron, maybe, but is that a Luke Skywalker level kind of, everybody's going to talk about it? I don't think Ultron does that. Some people saying Quicksilver. Is everybody going to be talking about Quicksilver? Is that a Luke Skywalker level thing? Doesn't mean he can't pop up, but I'm saying, is that the thing Elizabeth Olsen's talking about? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Kang the Conqueror. Most people don't even know who Kang the Conqueror is. So is Kang the Conqueror? That doesn't mean Kang can't show up, but is that the one that Elizabeth Olsen's talking about that could be a Luke Skywalker level kind of appearance? I don't think so. Some other people in the live chat, like John Walken, is saying Wolverine. I have very little expectation that's going to be Wolverine, but Wolverine would kind of fit that. I think Wolverine would be kind of a Luke Skywalker level of appearance, but I think a lot of the names that people are throwing out there are just names that wouldn't, I mean, they could show up in the show, but they wouldn't be a Luke Skywalker level reveal. You know, I think it would have to be somebody who we do not expect to see in the MCU suddenly showing up. So that's why there's a lot of them there. Oh boy, the theories are flying in the live chat right now. The theories are absolutely flying. All right, guys, the question is for you. Who do you think Elizabeth Olsen is talking about? We had a number of theories. Some of the theories are completely far-fetched. Like absolutely, the Deadpool one I've got up there, yeah, it's far-fetched. Toby or Andrew, yeah, it's far-fetched. But these are things that would kind of fit within those parameters of what Elizabeth Olsen's talking about. Maybe Magneto, maybe Tony Stark. I still think out of all of them, that's maybe the most likely. I don't know. Who do you think it could be, guys? Jump down into the, somebody saying in the live chat, it's going to be Batman. That would get everybody talking. That would absolutely get everybody talking if Ben Affleck's Batman shows up in WandaVision. Jump on down, guys, and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.